we can wrap up the section on the qualification of deacons this morning. So let's please read this section one more time, and then we'll just proceed with the study. So who wants to read this from 8 through 13? Bradley?
Likewise, deacons must be reverent, not double-tongued, not given to much wine, not greedy for money, holding the mystery of the faith with a pure conscience. But let these also first be tested, then let them serve as deacons, being found blameless. Likewise, their wives must be reverent, not slanderers, temperate, faithful in all things. Let deacons be the husband of one wife, ruling their children in their own house as well. For those who have served well as deacons obtain for themselves a good standing and great boldness in the faith which is in Christ Jesus.
Very good. So real quickly, what we covered so far about the deacons, a deacon really is a servant. And we are talking that although every Christian is a servant, this position is an office in the church for someone that's really there to serve others, to look for opportunities to serve, to pick things up and really handle things as they appear. The qualifications we cover so far is that he should be reverent. This is not necessarily a title, although a reverend could be a name for a personality in a church. But this means really dependable, trustworthy, serious, one would, that inspires respect. Really, this is what it means to be reverent. Not double-tongued, not say one thing, do another, right? We talked about this at length. We're not going to go spend too much time more over it. Not given too much wine. Again, we covered this at length, what it means to be given to wine, different types of wine, different kinds of mixtures of wine, what the mixed drinks were, what strong drinks were, and it may have come as a surprise to some of you. I'll tell you that for myself, until I studied this in more details, I'd always thought that strong drinks were just like hard liquor, right? But it just something clicked to me when I learned that, distilled alcohol wasn't invented until hundreds of years later. So really like drinks that are what considered hard drinks was just wine that was not mixed with water. And we also emphasize on the fact that not given to much wine doesn't mean that it's okay to be given to a little wine. Like you can drink a little bit, just don't drink a lot. Really means don't be given to alcohol as to really alcohol to have a power on you. So not greedy for money. We also talked about this, how deacons often are around money a lot. We don't have deacons in the church, but we have a few people that kind of act like deacons every Sunday. When there's a collection, they count the money and so forth. Obviously, you don't want to put somebody to count the money that really has an issue with being greedy for money, because the temptation is great to maybe help yourself. But obviously, they cannot be greedy for money. Oftentimes, deacons have access to all the church funds, and of course, it is all based on trust. I mean, nobody here is going to say, let's see how much money to the pennies in the account. You have to have somebody trustworthy, right? And not greedy for money. The next item is one that's holding the mystery of the faith with a pure conscience. That's a little bit not as straightforward of a qualification, but really what it means, and we talked about this, is one that must practice what they teach. You can't just be one person in the church for one day of the week, and then the rest the week you're going to be a totally different person, right? So men of conviction with a clear conscience know the direction that they are going, and that's what it means to hold the mystery of the faith with a pure conscience. It says then in verse 10, but these also first must be tested. Tested is just like anytime somebody is in a new position, they need to be tested, make sure that they're doing a good job. Even when you start a new job, you get like a trial period, a 90-day orientation period to just see if that's a good fit for them. And obviously this means that they've done the role of a servant before, and they're kind of proven that they function well in that space. So be tested. Don't take somebody that has never been tested before, right? Never been in the role of helping others. And of course, once that's done, then they can serve as deacons. And this reminds us the word serve, that's really what deacons, what it is the position of a servant. That deacon is service. And then he continues and says that they should be found blameless. What does it mean to be blameless? I have the definition there a little bit, but you can launch after that. I mean, nobody is blameless, like in the sense of guiltless, never sinned a sin in my life, right?
You're not living in sin. You've repented of sin.
Yes.
You're not faithful.
Yes.
Lifestyle.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
But you're living a Christian life.
Yeah, exactly. So there you go. You just painted everybody here, because everybody here was in sin once, right? Unless that's not the case for you, you can raise your hand and tell us how you did it. For the rest of us. Mark actually.
They squared all their quarrels with people. People would be very hard pressed to.
Yeah. Exactly. Like, yes, I mean, it could be in your past, but you could say, look, I've cleared my past, and it's I'm no longer that person, right? So no one, like Mark said, no one can accuse you of anything really and hold the charge against you. That's what it means to be found blameless. And then we continue. We talked about this last week. It puts a great emphasis on their wives. So you talk about deacon's qualification, but then there's a long list of their wives. So it's not just enough for the man to be an upstanding fellow, though their wives have to be. It looks like the list of qualification for the wife is as big as the one for the... Actually, some of them are probably even harder than the man. So women must be reverent. So they also have to be reverent, just like the husband. So they have to be serious and really command respect from everybody around. Not slanderers. And I don't know why he's putting this so much high in the list. But it's a very important qualification, not slanderer. So she must not engage in gossip or be hypercritical. Oftentimes, just to be hypercritical, it's really very neighborly to being gossipy. So yeah, nobody's perfect, right? But it's very easy sometimes, and not just women, okay? Because I don't want to just paint like women are somehow worse in this space. I've seen so many men that are just as bad, worse. I mean, there's no, being a slanderer, being a gossip doesn't favor a specific gender, male, female. It could be all across, but she needs to be trustworthy and able to control her tongue. Lisa?
But don't you think that, when it comes to gossip and that kind of thing, that women are kind of more meant that direction? Because it does say in another place in the Bible that, women, if they're younger and they're widows, they should get married, otherwise they're going to be going from house to house gossiping, the Bible kind of, it specifically addresses it here for women, but it's addressed in other places too. So, not that I'm trying to knock women, but...
Well, I'm not going to knock women.
That's why I wanted to say...
Well, the Bible doesn't say, no, but the Bible doesn't say women, therefore, you shall be more gossipy. Right, Joy?
Well, I think you should live in a 55 or older community. The men are, like you said, probably way worse than the women.
Oh, there you go. Thank you. Thank you for not taking her side. So,
Well, and I don't know if that's true when it's a younger man.
yeah.
An older man, when, the hormones kind of change and things like that, and, the women seem to take on the man's role, the man takes on the woman's role later in life,
Interesting
I think
perspective,
that
yes.
Men we know several men that are like that.
Mhm.
That they're bigger gossips
Yes, yes.
So it's not exclusive.
Yeah, so I appreciate Lisa's comment though, because to much extent it's connected with a person's free time, right? You're not going to be engaged in, like the woman, right? Don't have nothing to do, carry from house to house. The same thing with men. You know, if you don't keep yourself busy, right? It's very easy to give in. I mean, lazy hands and just kind of take it easy and just don't have other better things to do. I know for some of men here in the building that are busy all the time, and they're constantly working. When do you have time to go around and gossiping, right, Andrew? I have my favorite sandwich shop is where Andrew works, and I see him all the time, busy and working. It's like, that's not, I mean, when you're so busy, you don't have time to just say, okay, I'm going to talk about this person and this person. Get to work, I'm busy, get out of here. So oftentimes it's really because, you know, whether you're man or woman, if you don't have a mind to really focus, to keep yourself busy, it's easy to just default and talk about other people.
It's like that Tracy said, idle hands are the devil's work.
Devil's workshop, that's for sure. Yeah. So, but it is important that after she's not this person. Obviously, it doesn't mean that it doesn't say that the deacon himself can be slanderer. I'm sure that's can be that. But just keep in mind, not engaging in gossip, not be overcritical. Don't be bent on finding fault with others, constantly looking at fault. You know, to some extent, it's like a sport, because by finding fault with others, they feel a little bit better about themselves. Although it's really little people that think about others. You know, I mean, great people that do not think about others. I mean, not like to gossip about others. I mean, you can talk about others and pray for them and see how you can help them. That's what a great person does. Not gossip and say, hey, this person, this and that and bad, therefore I'm better. Ma'am?
And a deacon or his wife is also in a position where they probably know a little bit more about what's
Yes,
going on
yes,
instead
yes.
of thinking to not.
Yes, exactly. It takes extra effort to just not share. Please.
Supposed to edify and build each other up, not take Satan's path of destruction
Yeah.
and tear people down with
Yeah.
gossip and
Yeah, yeah.
approaches that people take.
Yeah, and beyond that, it takes a certain amount of wisdom, of, you know, what's called nowadays emotional intelligence, to really know how to, even if something comes to your ear about you or about others, to really not blow it out of proportion, making something worse than it is. Oftentimes when that's done, it makes matters so much worse, right? I mean, even if somebody gossips about you or says something behind your back, how you handle that is very important, right? And it happens. It can happen. Sometimes people around you, whether in the church, outside the church, they will say things about you that are careless. And it comes around and you hear about it, right? It's very important how you handle it, so you make the best out of the situation. You know, and with your right attitude, you can turn that bad situation into a good situation, you know, if you know how to handle it, and you're not going to get all worked up about it.
People will admire the way you handle different
Yeah.
situations. It's a good leadership role. And it's
Yeah.
a Christian example of
Yeah.
what was it, even one of the qualifications here
Yeah.
was quick, I forget what it was, quick to respond.
Quick to anger.
Yes.
Yeah, so, you know, as opposed to just standing back and just kind of being calm about it. And it happened to me actually just like 2 weeks ago, that I got a call from somebody, you know, that this other person was like really mad about me because I told them that they are fat. And it's like, I did not tell that person that they are fat. Well, they missed the total context, because this person called me at 11 o'clock at night having short of breath and, you know, having a heart attack almost. And I said, hey, you need to lose weight, you know. And this person absolutely thought, okay, you told me that I'm fat, like totally missing the context. But, you know, it's just somebody got their feelings hurt. And it's easy to just make things worse, you know, as opposed to just keep the peace and just move on and don't say nothing. Obviously, you have to respond to a certain situation, just kind of pause and step back, and I guess next time don't tell them. I mean, what do you tell? You're a nurse, Tracy, if somebody has a heart attack, right, or near a heart attack.
Well, you discussed the risk factors. Risk factors
Thank you, Kay.
You're not creating the list, and it's not your judgment. It's just risk factors that contribute to heart disease.
So you don't say you're fat, you risk factor.
It may not come across the right way. The intent may not be
Right.
that you give.
Somebody had their hand up. Thank you, thank you. You see, I mean, I can.
Bury the lead, that's what he's saying.
What? Yeah. What?
Bury the lead. You know, like you could, do this and this and this, and you can lose weight, and you could do that,
And the bottom line is you're fat.
Just little detail.
Did you discuss the bottom mass index?
Yes, thank you, sir.
Well, one of the sad parts about this is we have to watch how we say things so much.
Yeah.
I was reading an article about the just society in general,
Yeah.
but America especially. We're like 80% obese. Okay,
Yeah.
a nice way of saying we're all fat. And I sit there and I laugh. I look at myself and I think, okay, am I fat? My doctor gently puts it, be careful that you don't find yourself pre-diabetic.
Ooh,
So
okay.
watch your weight.
Pre-diabetic.
Keep it under
See, that's
control, you know what I mean?
much
It's
more
a nice
mild.
way of don't keep doing what is going to go down the wrong direction.
Yeah.
But it's every one of us has a different body type.
Yeah.
I look at Luke, I look at Zach, and I think, man, twins from the same womb within 5 minutes, and
Yeah.
they're totally different. But they're also young.
Yeah.
There's movement going to happen, as
Yeah.
they grow. But when did we become such an oversensitive,
Creatures? Yes.
it's like, I
Mhm.
used to tell my mom, I love my mom. She passed away. I said, Mom, you're fat. You need to lose some weight. You're going to die.
Mhm.
She didn't die of being fat, though. She actually,
Yeah.
actually, because of, other complications from
Yeah.
surgery. But I'm like, you don't get anything resolved if you're just
Yeah.
oversensitive.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
I think the important thing is as Christians, we're supposed to support each other.
Mhm.
So, if you came to me and said, hey, Brad, I care about you and you have a weight issue, how can I help you to be healthier so you can live longer, and support a family and do all these things?
Yeah.
And you're coming to me out of love and respect.
Yeah.
And we can go through it. And, obviously, wherever there's the line of sin with everything,
Yeah.
that's a different issue. Versus slander is you're going to go to someone else in the church and be like, oh,
Yeah,
man,
gossip
like,
about it,
that's
yes.
so
Mhm.
bad.
Yes,
it's like
exactly.
there's a clear difference,
Yeah.
I think, with a lot of things.
Yeah.
And, you always say, you have to go to the person
Mhm.
one-on-one. You
Yeah.
have to do it with love.
Yeah.
You have to be tactful.
Yeah.
And it's not about putting down the other person.
Yeah.
It's about how can I help you?
Yeah.
How can I build
Yeah.
you up
Yeah.
to be a stronger Christian?
Yeah. So obviously, this is not, it's oftentimes a very tactful, very challenging situation. That's why sometimes you just choose to just not say anything because you don't know what to say. Sometimes whatever you say could turn around, could be really received off. But anyways, I obviously, this is not a study about, different aspects of being slandering and gossiping, but just clearly here in scriptures, the wife of deacons must not have this bent on finding fault with others. The next item here in verse 11 says that they ought to be temperate. Temperate means clear-headed, self-control, circumspect, like her husband, right? sober-minded. Sober-minded. So what does it mean to be sober-minded? That means your mind is set on serious, not in the cloud, right? Not foggy, right? So temperate. I like this word. Clear-headed, self-controlled. Self-control is not easy.
I think you used the,
Yes, sir.
The weather
Yeah.
as an example last week. You know, not too cold, not too hot. You're right in the middle. And that was
Yeah. Temperature. Right. Yeah. Very good. And then faithful in all things. Faithful in all things. So somebody translates this as trustworthy in every respect. Faithful in keeping secrets. Faithful in keeping appointments. Faithful to her husband, to her children, and faithful to God. So that's what it means to be faithful in all things. And not just women ought to be faithful in all things. I mean, men should better be faithful to all things too. It's not like men can get away without not being faithful to your wife or to your children, because of course we have responsibility towards everyone, right? Everybody deserves that we act in a certain way around them and that we are faithful towards them. I mean, if you're going to say something, let's say yes be yes, no be no, you can change your mind, and that's not being trustworthy, right? So faithful in all things. Again, we continue. This is definitely still about their wives. So God requires the wife of an elder or a deacon because it's a very valuable role, and her character certainly can increase her effectiveness, or she can make him ineffective. A wife absolutely can disqualify a man for a deacon, for an elder, right? It's just women, and that's really when a woman selects a husband, and when a man selects a wife, right? They need to ask themselves, is this the woman that is going to help me? Really, let's say even in this way of being a deacon one day. I don't know any really a woman, maybe you can tell me, yeah, I was that way. I mean, have you ever thought when I married my husband that is this going to be a good deacon material one day? Or as a man to say, is my wife going to really meet the list of qualification in 1 Timothy chapter 3 right after the deacon? Do you ever say that, man? I didn't. Everybody checks and said, no, I didn't. But it's a very important list, because if the wife is not like this, I mean, what if your wife is a slanderer, not temperate, all these, not reverent, constantly gossipy? Can you qualify as a deacon? Good luck. Of course not. Yes, so let's please read, I don't have it here, but I would like to read Proverbs 31. This is from the section of the virtuous woman. If I can have a volunteer read verse 23, please. Because the virtuous woman definitely is a woman that, to a large extent, is portrayed here in 1 Timothy chapter 3. So every deacon ought to be married with a virtuous woman of Proverbs 31. Who has verse 23? Sir, Jeff? So how great is that? So her husband is known. So everybody knows this woman, or that man. It's not about the man, it's about, hey, this is this person's husband, right? So that is a very great compliment to a woman, right? To really be known as, a man, be known by whose husband is he, right? So oftentimes, sadly, many think about the role of a woman being somewhat secondary, or being the man is the one that's leading and the woman is kind of in the shadow. But that person hasn't really read Proverbs 31, and especially at the end there, that everybody knows the man, but by who he's married. And I know this is not in the Bible, but it is true that you cannot be a strong man without a strong woman behind you. Or how some say that behind every strong man, it's a strong woman. It's very hard as a man to really achieve much really without the support of a woman. I mean, it's hard actually to see a man that really is very successful without the help of a woman. I mean, and oftentimes that woman is not necessarily his wife, could be the mother, could be the sister, could be some kind of female presence in their life. But obviously God made it so that it's a woman, the helper, right? Yes, very good. So then verse 12 says, let deacons be husband of one wife, obviously. This implies that they have to be married. A single man cannot be appointed as a deacon. He does not qualify. And obviously, this points out that you cannot have a woman be a deacon because she can be husband of one wife. And I'm not going to talk about the craziness that's happening in this day and age. Yeah. So, yes, ma'am.
I've heard different, I don't want to say interpretations, but that's where it's going. Where they say, let the deacon be husband of one wife at a time. What was polygamy like back then when this was written?
Well, so polygamy was not really a thing in the age of Jesus Christ. I mean, keep in mind, this is already in the Christian era. This is already after Jesus said, let every man have his own wife, right? And of course, before, if we read in Matthew 19, and really even on the Sermon on the Mount, when he was talking about every man should have his own wife, and he talks about divorce and remarriage. He makes it very clear what's the law of God around marriage, that let each man have his own wife. Under the Christian law, absolutely God's formula is one man, one wife, married for life, right? But in the Old Testament, you're right, under the law of Moses, God allowed for a man to have more than one wife. And that is under the old law. And we see many people that had more than one wives, and God seemed to have been, I mean, obviously okay with it. I mean, look at King Solomon, King David, and many others. I mean, even the great patriarchs, and definitely Jacob and many others. Sir?
That's one of the things that I've always wondered and how to do a study on. It would have to be a historical study.
Yeah.
But when you think of Adam, one wife, you think of Noah, one wife, Abraham, one wife, because she passed away, and only because his wife made him
Right.
Hagar,
Right.
or any kind of,
Right.
and even that wasn't looked upon as
Not a wife,
a
right.
wonderful thing.
Right.
Yes, the kings, David, and half the time I wonder, I mean, they had these wives, but were they even close in proximity?
Yeah.
I mean, they were like scattered across the whole, nation, it seemed like.
It is,
It wasn't
yes.
exactly like they had a relationship. It's like with David,
Yeah.
he had a relationship with Bathsheba. And from that point on, he had all these other wives, but you
Yeah.
don't really hear of, really kind of that relationship other than a lot of, anger.
You hear more about their offspring.
You do. I guess to some extent, again, maybe this is the reason why God says, okay, it's not a good idea. I mean, I have 3 kids, and it's like so hard to really like herding cats sometimes. It's just 3. Imagine having 3 wives and everybody had 3 kids. Can you imagine? I mean, and you have 9 kids, and forget 3 wives. I mean, some back in the old days, I mean, you could have like many wives, and then not just 3 kids by each. You can have 6, 7, 10 kids by each. And then before you know it, I mean, how many kids did David had? I mean, how many kids did Solomon had? How in the world can you be an effective father to 42 kids? Right? I mean, The more kids you have, it's like more difficult it comes, right? I mean, Rhett, you probably the one with the most children here. I mean, how is it? How many kids you have total? 7. And 7 is not a big number. I mean, if you think about it, but, right? No, but still, I mean, the more kids you have, it's more difficult. Believe me, having one kid is so much easier. I mean, even nowadays, only one college fee, only one tuition, only one mouth to feed. I mean, Rhett, if you have all your 7 kids and take them out to a restaurant, that's going to be $200-300 as opposed to just.
It's brutal even now. 30-40 bucks every time you go somewhere. You know, one of the things when you look at this, a husband of one wife, or married.
Yeah.
When you have too many responsibilities, your time is too divided. To
Right. Focus. Right.
You know.
Very
And
well.
I think that what do they say? The jack of all trades, master of none. You know, if you're going to do something and do it well,
Yeah.
then you're going to be very limited on what you do.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
So, I mean, it's always important to me to kind of think, well, there's purpose.
Yeah.
I mean, God wants for us the very best.
Yeah.
So anything that we see as a hindrance to my happiness, we have to think, why would that be a hindrance and not absolutely a blessing?
Right.
We're not in that situation.
Right.
You know, I mean, we know the problems with fornication and adultery and stealing and all the different things that arise from those
Yeah.
things when you do it. And when you talk about these qualifications, it's more than a qualification, it's more of a character. The kind of people that you want leading a group of people for
Yeah.
the betterment of the whole.
Yeah.
And when you have good leaders, good wives, you're going to get good results.
Yeah.
But when you have a bad leader,
Yeah.
bad wife, you know how that's going to go.
Yeah. Or having a husband here that would have many wives, right? And then what kind of time does he gonna have to really attend to the matters of the church? Joy, you had your hand up?
Other than, in the Old Testament, other than procreation, having more than one wife, didn't seem like a good idea, because all the sons, and you read of all these rulers, and they couldn't come up with one kid that followed God's law. I mean, you hear after one after the other of how many rulers
Yeah.
were bad, and they went from bad to worse.
Oh, yeah.
Rarely did you hear
Yeah.
a good ruler, a God-fearing ruler, that who knows where they came from, maybe the mother
Yeah.
or, effect on that child.
Right.
One after the other, you just hear, like you said, how effective could you be as a father to
Yeah.
all those kids?
Yeah.
But one after the other, they were just bad.
Yeah. And every father here knows that really the extent to which everything that you pay attention to, right? This is not just children, by the way. Everything you pay attention to improves, right? So clearly, we'll be moving on, but good conversation. Obviously, husband of one wife. That's really, what's that? At a time. Well, at a time. That's a good point. Yes. Right.
I don't know about, but if you're divorced,
Right.
other than for
Fornication.
fornication,
Right.
then you're not.
You cannot remarry. Absolutely. You're 100% correct. But then you can remarry if you're right to be remarried, or your wife dies, right? And then you can remarry somebody else at a time. You're right. So because, just because you've been married before doesn't mean you're married to 2 wives, one at a time, right? That's a good point. Very good. And then it says that that man, it connects here with what we said earlier, must rule their children and their own household well. This is a man who is truly implementing the instruction found in Ephesians chapter 6, verse 4. Let's please read Ephesians 6, 4. Who wants to read this? Bradley, you have that there, sir? It's okay.
Ephesians 6:4.
Yes, sir.
And you, fathers, do not provoke provoke your children to wrath, but bring them up in the training and admonition of the Lord.
So this is not a very easy passage, not an easy passage. If you're a father, you know exactly what I mean. It's like, what do you call? It's like brain surgery. You know what I'm saying? It's like so important that you just walk that straight line to where you not just go too far this way. It's such a balancing act. So this, by the way, is different than the definition and the qualification given from elders a few verses earlier. When for elders, it says that their children must believe. So it's one thing to rule your household well. That means, okay, your house is at peace and everything is fine, but it's a whole new level for your children to not just, be all right, but also be a Christian on top of that, which adds a whole new layer. So ruling their children and their house well means having peace in the house, have that space in the house that everything is kind of orderly, not kind of, just orderly and, a sanctuary in a sense. But just keep in mind that for elders, it takes us even to a higher level. So that means that for a deacon, most likely is because these people are maybe younger, right? So you can have little children. I mean, I'm giving the example, for instance, I'm looking at somebody that just became a father of the beautiful child that he's holding, Andrew. Obviously, his child is not a Christian yet, right? And of course, you wouldn't expect it for such a small baby. But, if he qualifies in every other category, then he could be a deacon, right? Your kids don't have to be a Christian, right? It's just that he needs to run his household well, and his wife can be like pulling her hair off. So, and then verse 13 says, "Those who have served well as deacons obtain for themselves a good standing." So obviously, obtain for themselves a good standing. It comes with some perks, with a reward, and there are rewards, personal rewards, spiritual growth that comes with a man that is in that space, and a man that will answer that call to be a deacon. So, oftentimes when it comes to rewards, this world think about the rewards of show me the money, right? That is the reward. But there are such greater rewards than that. I mean, if you had a great reputation, somebody says, okay, pick on anybody. I'm going to pick on Bradley. Bradley, I can give you two things, either one or the other. I can give you a great reputation, but very little money. Or I can give you a lot of money, but not really a good reputation. What would you choose? Don't tell me money. What would you choose? $1 million? I don't know about that. Yes. I mean, there's so many examples, of people that are so ruined morally that no money in the world can wash them up. Yes, sir.
And what's sad is sometimes it's how someone is perceived more than the actual. When you look at the Bible, the tax collectors were just looked at as
terrible.
vile
Yes.
sinners, and yet Jesus calls Matthew.
Yeah.
He pulls Zacchaeus out of a sycamore tree, goes to have dinner at his house, and everything that you hear from Zacchaeus, I mean, he was pretty awesome guy.
Right.
But the perspective is definitely bad. And I think with good reputation can come all the rest of those things. Just
Right.
like Solomon.
Right.
Ask for wisdom and God will bless you with everything.
Yeah.
But all goes back to seeking
Yeah.
His kingdom.
Yeah, of course. Guys, likewise, God's not going to feed you. Like you're not going to starve. I mean, if you build your reputation, if you are going to be in that space of helping others and be a servant, I've never really seen a person like that to really lack food and basic necessities. Of course, God is going to provide. So, yes, sir.
It kind of reminds me of this one scene Horrible movie, but the one scene is really, really good. This guy's working in a cafe, he's just
Yes.
a waiter, and he sees this man sitting in the booth, and he's like, wow, he's dressed really nice. He's like, well, what do you do for a living? He's like, oh, I trade stocks. He's like, oh, how much do you make? And he's like, I made like 72,000 last week. And he's like, no way, you're lying. He's like, no, I did. He's like, you show me a check stub, 72,000, and I'll quit my job right now and go work for you. And he
Show.
the briefcase, boom, there's the check, 72,000 and some change. And then the next scene, he's like, hey, I quit. Boom, hangs up the phone, goes to work with this guy, and the rest of the movie is horrible. And it's bad stock trading, but it was hey, here's the proof of this actual reward.
Yeah, exactly.
Come follow me. And for us Christians, that's what Christ Jesus said. He says, here's the reward.
Yeah.
You have to follow me, though.
Yes, it's the opposite. I like that example. Yeah. So definitely they obtained for themselves a good standing. And then he says that a great boldness, not just a good standing, but a great boldness in the faith which is in Christ Jesus. I mean, this is more precious than anything you can achieve of material value. So the deacon who serves will not only gain for himself honor and esteem among people, but also confidence and courage in whatever service he may render. And that service certainly is in the realm of the faith which is in Christ Jesus. So it's really a tremendous thing to feel in your heart that you have this boldness and faith before Jesus. And why? Just because you serve, right? Because you're in this space, sir.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, but I've always looked at that verse as, why do you want to become a deacon? Because in the end, this is what you'll receive.
Exactly.
Because it's not you become a
Yes.
deacon and all this is
Yes.
going to be just, hey, you're
Yes.
a deacon now, you get all this wonderful boldness. It's for those who have served.
Yes.
And it's kind of like when we have been faithful unto
Yeah,
death,
yeah.
there's laid upon me a crown of
Yeah,
righteousness.
yeah,
Have I obtained that crown? Am I wearing
yeah,
that crown?
yeah.
Yes and no.
Yeah.
It's mine, but I just have to wait to receive it.
Right.
And, Jesus said he went away to prepare a place for us. I would
Yeah.
assume that each one of
Yeah.
us has in our mind that God has prepared a place for us.
Yeah.
I'm not hoping that he prepared a place for me. He said he went to prepare a place for me.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And it's not because I'm perfect, it's because I'm covered in the blood of Christ.
Yeah.
And with the deacon, with the elders, it's a hard work, but it's God,
Yeah.
the benefits
Yeah.
and blessings that follow. So
Yeah, so
something to be
absolutely.
thankful for.
Absolutely. So it's not really, it's the person that you become, right? This is a quote famous from Jim Rohn, if you guys know him. When you seek to improve yourself in a specific area, right? It's really the person that it transforms you in the process, who you're going to be when you're done. As a person inside, in your heart, the transformation that will occur in your heart to be able to serve, right? Serve of all things, not to be served, to serve others as a deacon. It's really amazing, because then you look back and then it makes you, really gives you that confidence, right, before God. So in review, as my time is up, a deacon must be a reverend man, an honest man, a sober man, a faithful man, a proven man, a man with a faithful wife, right? And a family man. So, and obviously this is my last slide. The church today needs, and tomorrow needs, godly servants, one that accepts the responsibility to serve, to help develop and, prepare that man, to become even an elder, right? As deacons is a stepping stone. And we should consider a blessing and an honor to be able to serve the church and provide for its needs. And Christians should seek to fill whatever role, whatever work that comes, and become qualified really to fit that role, because that's really what Jesus did for us. Jesus did everything that we needed to do, and we have to have the same mindset to really help others and to serve others in the church. So I'm happy that we end up finishing this section on deacons. Next week we'll continue on the next section. Thank you.